week 5 of COVID-19 lockdown here in the UK. As you can see, a bit of a change this week with a bit of a extreme haircut. Needed a change in these challenging times. This week's vlog is all about delivering projects and portfolios within Office 365. We all use Office 365 in our businesses, and many of us do. If you're in the space of PMO, portfolio management, or program management, then you'll be familiar with Microsoft Project. But not many people that I come across know what Project Online is. There's lots of organizations out there that are delivering major portfolios of change across the globe, across their organizations, but they're delivering it using Excel. So my mission is to get rid of Excel for risk management, issue management, to use a centralized repository for capturing all that project information and then being able to visualize that graphically to our customers through Power BI. So, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see I'm a portfolio PPM practitioner at heart. That's what I've spent the last decade doing. I think for us, this video is a webinar that I hosted last week, where I took people through the varying degrees of applications available within Office 365 for delivering projects and change. So hope you enjoy and look forward to catching up next week. Cheers.
Okay. So yes, good afternoon all. Thanks for joining us for the delivering portfolios, programs and projects in Office 365. There's quite a few of you returning to our webinar, so thank you very much for returning and new faces as well. So welcome all. I just want to make you aware that we are recording this session. We did so last week and we had some really good feedback, so it's just as a reference point for you, so you don't have to take notes. We'll also be circulating the slides as well shortly after this presentation. The video might take a bit longer. If also we can put some questions across via the chat channel, that would be superb, and Joel can pick those messages up as he goes along and probably answer them at the end, if that's okay. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick overview of introductions of who's on the call from Icotech. So it's myself, Geraint. I'm the partner manager. I joined Icotech excitedly back in January, looking to develop the clients that we already have and also bringing new clients on board. So point of contact for you guys would be me first and foremost, and looking forward to sort of develop partnerships as we're going along this journey. We also have Aaron. He's the delivery manager. He's got a wealth of experience in delivering high quality services to large scale organizations. And also, last but not least, is Joel. He's the founder and CEO and will be leading this session. So Joel, over to you, sir.
Cool, thank you very much, Geraint. Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen, assuming you can, fingers crossed. So just to give you a bit of a background of our service landscape before I jump into the topic of this session. So we're a Microsoft implementation partner, but we specialize in Project Online, Power BI and SharePoint. So we've got some really good skill sets in the team delivering those tools and technologies. And our passion is really data. And extracting data from data sources. So whether it's repositories like Project Online, SharePoint and those collaboration tools, that's where we really like to see our customers make informed decisions based on the data they're storing, essentially. In order to do that, we obviously have to have skill sets and capability in the other Microsoft stack or Microsoft applications that exist at the moment. So Power Apps, Power Automate, Dynamics CRM. So a lot of our engagements, we're connecting these different systems together and then reporting on that data to drive information and then to drive informed decisions as well. So that's just a bit of a service landscape. And obviously we offer support to our partners as well. So for once we've delivered that technology or that solution, we can walk away and support them in any changes and any iterations they want to make to that service. So a bit of background about Icotech. So myself, I started very much, more than a decade ago, flipping heck, in PMO, project delivery in Welsh Water. I did a short stint in Lloyd's Banking Group, working on the TSB sale. And then I spent 5 years in Babcock International Group, moving around, ending up as the head of projects and governance, where we kind of tested this model really of having interconnected data sources for project portfolio management. And we improved the way in which we deliver change essentially over that 5-year journey, from collecting all that data. So I took that model, that concept, and I went to Companies House and I supported them through a major transformational change. That was really exciting, and my first real insight into government and how that operates. And since then, I started Icotech to get some pretty serious and large-scale organisations, from Yorkshire Tea, so get plenty of free tea, which is brilliant, through to ONS, Intellectual Property Office, and BEIS as well, Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Phew, that's a long one, that is. So yeah, that's just a quick synopsis and summary of where we've been and what we've been working with and our customer base to date from Icotech's perspective. But yeah, as you can tell from my experience, PMO, kind of portfolio manager, practitioner at heart. That's where I've spent my career, all of my career delivering those major portfolios and programs of change across the globe. So yeah, that's me. So the problem. So projects, we all know how complex projects are. They involve many different people from inside our organization through to outside our organization, and they're complex. It wouldn't be a project if it wasn't complex. It would be something simple to go and do. So how do we keep track of all these activities, not just major projects? How do we actually bring them together and make it easy for us to track these initiatives and track these changes? How do we allow individual teams to use their own tools? So one of the things I'm passionate about is that there's not one size fits all. If you're trying to deliver one solution, you're going to fail, because it's not going to work for the different organizations, the different practices, the different methodologies, and the different styles of delivery. One size definitely doesn't fit all, and there's some approaches you can take to making sure that you deliver the right tools to those those stakeholder groups. So how do we decide what projects to do next? Across our partner group and our network, we're always being asked by organizations, how do we prioritize? How do we make the right decision on what to do next? I've got so much to do. I've got this big pipeline of demand. How do I focus on my projects that are really valuable to me? And I'll touch on that in a short while. And then back to the point that really is kind of close to my heart is how do we become efficient? How do we become the best at running projects? How do we incrementally improve at all times? All right. So yeah, organizations will always experience this problem, and my driver, my aim, I guess, is to make the tooling not the problem, make it the enabler to allow projects to go and be delivered successfully. All right. So Office 365 is really key to that, and everybody knows Office 365. Most organizations that are large scale organizations will be using O365, and so I wanted to do a bit of a landscape of the tools currently available to you. All right. So I was surprised when I wrote this. I was like, hang on, what's to do? I didn't really know what it existed, to be honest. But let's start on the left-hand side here, all right? So if you're an O365 user, you have Excel. Now, Excel is a perfectly good tool for tracking to-do items. If I'm really honest, I use it for my own personal to-do. I think I've got 45 to-do items on at the moment, and I categorize them, prioritize them, filter them, and they're both they're split into personal and to Icotech as well. So I use my to-do tracker to do that level of action planning and assignment. All right. I also, through some research, found a product called To Do from Microsoft, and I downloaded it and used it a bit. And that is a more integrated way of deliver or capturing your to-do tasks, and an individual planning kind of model and process for you. So yeah, that's a really good tool to use. And then on the right there's the three which I'll really focus on today's session. So Planner, many of you would have heard of Planner, and that's really good for when you've got a group of people working in Office 365. Maybe you've got multiple teams. So we use Planner, and we've got planners actually linked to teams. So I know I've got an accounts planner with the accounts team, and we've got a delivery planner with Aaron and the delivery team, and then we've got a partner planner with Geraint as well. So you can have different planners for different teams, and that's really good. And I'll come on to that in a bit more detail now in a short while. So you can update tasks. It's quite graphical and intuitive and interactive. And that really has a precedent in the marketplace for planning projects. And if I was running one project, if I was running an event or maybe a food market or a stall or something like that, I'd probably use Planner for that one project, one activity at a time. And then project desktop. So I think there's a bit of confusion in the market space as well around what's project and project online, and there's some differentiations there. A lot of people I talk to, I say, are you using project online? And they'll say, yeah, I'm using project online, but actually they're just using project desktop or project professional. So there's definitely some ambiguity there. So I've fed that back to Microsoft, and fingers crossed they'll help us on that over the next few months. So, but this is when you've got a detailed schedule, 20 plus lines of a schedule. You're managing local resources, so you're building up a resource pool. You're tracking progress and managing budgets as well. I'm intrigued, and I'll ask the question again at the end: is who's using Project Desktop for managing budgets? In my experience, especially across government, I see lots of organisations using Project for a schedule and then Excel for a budget, and I can't understand how the two are separate. And often individuals don't understand the power of Project Desktop. So if anybody's in that space, feel free to contact us, and we can show you some more detail on that budget tracking at a later date. And then for when you're managing projects across an organization, so you've got 20 plus projects ongoing at any one time, you need to move to a portfolio management solution such as Project Online. And lots of organizations I speak to, lots of stakeholders I speak to, don't even know they've got it. They just think they've got Project, and they don't even know they've got access to this really powerful, intuitive tool that allows you to prioritize, use your manage an enterprise resource pool, and the most important thing, again, it's come up again, is the data. So capturing the data to allow you to report on it, to allow you to get better at delivering your portfolio. So that's something that really excites us here at Icotech. All right. So I'll just take you through a little bit of a kind of a synopsis of each of those tools, the three on the left-hand side there. So Planner is available on your mobile device. It is really intuitive. As you can see here, you've got different boards, you've got different cards, and you've got different buckets as well. So you can define these buckets as you wish. We've got kind of to do or not started, in progress, and completed. We keep it very simple. But you can do some really good reports, like on the left-hand side there. We've got some really graphical, intuitive reports. And I know in Companies House, the ideas process, which was like this hub of innovation ideas, was managed in Planner and had some very good dashboards, and was perfectly suitable to managing those quick fire little initiatives that we all need to capture and to report on. All right, so you can integrate this with Teams, as I say. So we did a webinar a couple of weeks ago where we're talking about a Teams channel and surfacing this content through a Teams channel, and you can set up a Planner board for each of those channels as well. So that's really useful. And actually, it pinged up earlier, actually, a notification on my phone telling me I was late for a task. So yeah, you've got those kind of alerts and those controls you could put in place as well. As you can see on the screen, you can have public and private channels as well. So you can have one for yourself and then have one for your team. There's obviously a few tiers in licensing as well, which you can take advantage of. So Project Professional then. So Project Professional is a tool that enables project managers to create local schedules. So it's got pre-built-in templates. And it is an automated scheduling tool, so you can do kind of EVA in there if you really want to get into that level of detail. But one of the things that people often say to me as well is that you can't manage an agile project in Project Desktop. You can definitely have a Kanban board, and if you look at the views and the task boards available in Project, it's really powerful how you can manage different types of projects, different methodologies, I guess, in this project management tool. And I see a lot of organizations are creating a project plan, storing it in SharePoint or on a file and print server somewhere, and all of you consuming that project plan. And that is a good way of doing it. That is how the tool is intended to be used, but it's a standalone product and a standalone file. If someone deletes that file or someone removes that file, you're a bit stuck. You can connect these files together using, kind of scripts and all sorts of ugly kind of integration services and integration tools, but it gets pretty complicated. And you can actually add sub-projects as well, which is another thing you can do. So you could have a program plan with all the sub-projects underneath that, and you can do that standalone as long as it's on a cloud service like SharePoint, for example. But effectively what this allows us to do is to have a schedule. So here on the screen, you've got schedule, the stages, the phases of the projects. You've got the resources that you're assigning it to there. And you could do things like, set baselines, run reports, but you're only doing that on an individual project. So if your PMO team or project management team are running 5 projects, this is the sweet spot for you. This is where you need to be, running 5 project plans, 2 project managers maybe, and a small team delivering those projects across your organization. And it's a really powerful tool. I genuinely don't think that the majority of users of Project Desktop understand or use it to its full potential. So thoroughly advise you to go and get a full Microsoft Professional training course or get a team in like us to help you really extract as much value from this tool as you possibly can, because it is really powerful. All right. So Project Online then, so that's the kind of maximum flavor. If individuals have heard of Project Server before, this is the cloud version of Project Server. And it is a PPM tool, project portfolio management tool. So it's about managing your capabilities in terms of capacity planning, prioritization, your investments. So whether you're a construction, technology, or business change, you can manage programs, portfolios, projects, and continuous improvement in this tool. So it's when you're going through a large-scale transformational journey that would you really be looking to use Project Online. All right, so just a snippet of Project Online, and I'll do a little bit of a demo in a few minutes. And yeah, essentially, it's a collection of projects in a system, in a repository. And how I articulate it or describe it is basically SharePoint and Microsoft Project combined on steroids, effectively, with Power BI plugged into it for data visualization. So it's a really powerful tool. And as I say, a lot of people don't even know it exists or that it's available to them. Again, a lot of organizations, a lot of stakeholders will talk to me and say, well, I can't manage an agile project in that. You can, there's a way of doing it. It depends, and I'll come on to integration in a short while. But yeah, there's lots of different templates, lots of different approaches, and it's a really powerful tool. Again, a lot of our clients aren't using the totality of the tool yet. They're actually really happy with just having plans in a repository with automated RAGs, and a risk log that they can see all the risk across the portfolio with a touch of a button. That's really valuable to them, because currently they're perhaps using spreadsheets to capture all that data. And I'll give an example of that. As the head of projects in Companies House, the CEO said to me in my 3rd month, she said, "Oh, can you go and get all the risks across the portfolio?" And I said, "Really? Do I have to go and get all the risks across the portfolio?" And she was like, "Why?" I said, "Because we've got 55 projects with 55 RAID logs. Do I have to go and blend all those risks together in a spreadsheet and then present them to you? And then I'll know they'll be wrong because it took me 2 weeks to go and do that. So somebody's changed those risks, so it's going to be out of date." And unfortunately, the answer was yes. So I went ahead and did that. And but luckily, I convinced her that a tool like this was a lot better. So yeah, that's the point of this enterprise-wide portfolio management solution. Okay, cool. So on to a demo. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a tour. Oh, look how nicely that worked. I was so worried the picture of my daughter was going to flash up then. So yeah, this is Project Online. This is essentially, as you can see, if you're used to using SharePoint, you'll be used to using this interface here. So you've got a series of views. So you could have proposals by department, or a tracking view, or projects by owner. So if you want to see all the projects that are owned by me, you can see that here. If you want to see projects that are by cost, you can see a cost view here, and you can apply varying levels of filters, etc. So I'll just change it to a cost view. Let's cross it loads. It's a bit slow this afternoon. So yeah, we've got some cost figures in here. Obviously, this being a demo environment, it's in dollars. We don't use dollars in the UK, obviously, but you can customize these to your heart's content, really. And I'll go back to summary now. So, and it remembered my filter from before, if you could see that. So I had a filter on it, or grouping for project or phase name. So it remembers those type of things for you. So that's really useful. So here in delivery, you can see in this demo environment, essentially, you said anything in inception or business case doesn't get baselined. You can see that I haven't got a baseline here for the schedule KPI and the cost KPI. And you can see here, this project hasn't got a baseline. So now I'm operating as a PMO individual here. I can come into this tool, and I can set the baseline here. So you'll see that's the snapshot earlier. So you can see I'm processing the baseline. The baseline is successfully set on the top right hand corner there, and I can close the page, check it in, and yeah, check in is a language from SharePoint. So check in, check out, publish, those type of terminologies are used. Because this is effectively SharePoint pre-configured for projects, etc. That should have changed to a green. So I'm just going to refresh it again, and fingers crossed. Oh no, why is it not changed? But that should change. God, should change to red, amber, green there. So maybe I'm doing something silly here, but essentially this is your schedule page as well. So I showed you this earlier. So this is the Microsoft project plan. So effectively you can annotate, edit, interact with this project as much as you like. A lot of our customers are a bit put off by project, as in the desktop view. They think it's really onerous and labor intensive. But we can configure these views to be as simple or as complex as possible. So, if anybody's used project, you can use the predecessors, you can assign the resources and percentage completes, all those type of things that you're used to in project desktop, you can consume in here. And we do like the timeline view as well. Oh, this was not a brilliant view example, but yeah, you can put projects into timelines and try and graphically present or represent your project's progress. So that's a really useful tool. All right. I know why it didn't work. It's because I didn't press publish. Step in the middle there. So yeah, you can almost, what that was doing was it was giving me my own version of the schedule. So it was, for example, on Sunday night, if I want to do some scenario planning or some scenario planning, I can go and modify the plan, but not publish it to the reporting server. So it doesn't throw out all those lovely reports we'll show you later on. It's just a scenario. Only when I've published it does it actually publish to the reporting server and then apply those KPIs that we saw earlier. So I really hope now my fingers are actually crossed that this RAG status changes now, because if it doesn't, thank God for that. I was worried then. So yeah, you can see the RAG status for schedule has changed, and the RAG schedule for cost has said you need to go and put some costs in there in the system. The other thing that we find a lot of our customers doing is saying that, okay, an automated RAG schedule, which this is based on a criteria. So now as my plan moves, that RAG will change automatically. As you can see, if you hover over, it's less than 10% over the baseline scheduled is the RAG. So if I was going to move that now to say, 100 days late, it would turn amber. All right. The other thing that our customers want to do is have a subjective KPI, I guess, or a subjective RAG. So, okay, the tool says I'm red and amber for schedule and cost, but actually overall, I know as a project manager, I may be a different RAG or a different KPI. All right. So we allow the users, obviously, the tool allows the users to have that in place. All right. Another thing that so each of these in this repository is a project, and you can see here you've got issues associated with the project. And if I was to select that, I won't do it now because I think it'll show you the really embarrassing photo of my daughter on my desktop. But yeah, the Microsoft project plan would open, and you'd be able to open the schedule and resource and do all those things you can do in Microsoft desktop. All right. So here's one I set up earlier. This, you enter into the project, and you can see here we've got some workflows, some stages, some application approvals. So you can define these. The last customer we were demoing this to had inception, business case, application approval, and so on and so forth. So you can push this through a life cycle, push this through a workflow, and it will allow you to to control that. So if you're, for example, the PMO, and you want to be able to approve projects going through a life cycle, this is how you do it. All right, so you would get an email like this on the screen here if you're in a PMO team or the head of projects or the head of governance or whatever it may be, and you'd be able to go and promote that to the next stage. I've already done it on this example, but it just shows you what you can do really. Another thing that we talked about earlier in the problems was strategic impact and priority. So one of the engines in the back of this tool is actually looking at your strategic value or the impact on your strategy. So you can come in here and you can score the project to see, at the start of the project or halfway through the project, depending on where you want to do it, or each end of stage review, and you can save that into the repository, and I'll come on to how that works later on. Some of our customers don't like that. It is a bit restrictive, and they just want a simple mathematical equation, and we build that in there as well. So actually you can define your own criteria. If you can do it in an Excel spreadsheet, you can do it. We can replicate it into Project Online. Again, lots of organizations will use a business case in Word, a Word document, but this is about getting away from Word documents and about having data on tap easily available. So you can edit the project itself. You can select department, all these attributes, the program which it falls under, any of these fields which you can go crazy on. Really, you can do whatever you want in here. This demo environment is set up as a very arbitrary kind of return on investment profile. If you were at this level of interest, you can do these type of things like tell me my ROI, and when you save it now, it'll tell you your ROI as percentage. And an SES, so a senior government or a senior government official, is classed as an SES. Can't exactly remember what that stands for, but in government, it's like the SRO of the project or the project sponsor. So it's having that person, and you can fire off workflows to that person now to say you've been assigned as the the responsible SCS for this activity. Can you please review it or whatever it may be. All right. So and we call this the project details page, or the level 2. So we can customize those pages. We can go as crazy or as simple as you need to go, but the fact is, it's all based on SharePoint, so it's relatively simple to change. Right, so the next level down, I had a heart attack then, thinking I couldn't find the project with DNA in the title, so I've now found it. So every project site, I talked about the RAID log and the risk and issues scenario earlier on. So every project site has a set of lists. So in this example, we have this data that's coming from the plan. So the project's 13 days late. We've got 4 tasks up and coming. We've got 2 risks. We've got 1 issue, and we've got some deliverables as well, which are useful. A lot of data you could collect here, and you could add new risks relatively easily, filling out these fields. And we have customers that have pre-impact scores and post-impact scores as well, and we're reporting on both of them. It can really go as complex or as simple as you want. Our ethos is to keep things simple, simple and high value first is what we like to do, and then build in the complexity later on. So you can share this as well. So a lot of organizations don't realize that you can share this with any user. So I talked earlier about one of the problems being collaboration and the multiple individuals being part of the project. Well, you can share this. So I can share this with my personal email address. I can share it with Aaron or whoever else, and they can all be contributors then to this environment or this project and this board. All right, so that's really powerful as well. So I will now show you some of the prioritization analysis engines in Project Online. So you can create analysis or scenarios based on different models. All right, so you can say, show me based on all the data that's in this repository. Remember, I've just breezed over it really simply here, but imagine the costs in here, the resources, the benefits, all those things are in this repository when it's live and in the live environment. So you have an engine here that's telling you the projects that you should go and deliver based on all those scores you saw me inputting earlier. So there's an algorithm in the background that says, okay, so what's the value, the strategic value of all these projects? How many have been selected? And then you could do some scenario planning around that as well. So what if I go and hire 3 more resources? All right, what does that look like? How many projects have I got now? He says, please work. There we go. Just being impatient. So this should now. So it's moved projects, 2 projects in and 2 projects out on that based on that portfolio. Okay, so what if I want to go hire 5 more resources? Arbitrary, I know, but it's good for your portfolio plan if you are managing portfolios at this scale. So it's moved a project in and a project out based on that as well. I haven't done this yet, but I'll just, for effect, I'll go and hire 7 new resources. And this is all based on individual project plans. There we go. That's what I wanted to see, was that not selected line comes down as you hire more people. So mathematically, statistically, you can tell your board or team that you are going to go and deliver these projects and not these projects. That's based on resources. Of course, you can flip it and have a cost profile as well. So you can say, what about our investment? What if I've only got £1.5 million to spend? How many zeros is that? Enough zeros? Oh, enough zeros. I need to got a budget with constraints. So therefore, those lowest value projects drop out of your portfolio then. All right, and that's the type of stuff we were doing across Babcock with 65 projects in the portfolio. Well over £10 million worth of spend on an annual basis. So that helps you to prioritize, and you can do it against the different dependencies, different graphs. You can see here the level of options that I'm not going into. And you can trump things as well. So if a CEO says, I really want to do that because it's close to my heart, no other reason, then you would click a project and you can trump it in to that environment or that to-do list essentially. All right. So resource center, I'll just touch on this. In terms of the resources, you have an enterprise resource pool. You can link this with things like SAP, Oracle, and all those other powerful tools as well. And we've got a client at the moment that's kind of got a talent pool. So her aspiration is that her talent pool becomes this resource pool, and we're linking that using Power Automate. So that comes back to why we're using all those other applications to build this portfolio management solution, not just Project Online. But you can see here you've got generic resources, you've got named resources, you can do cost modeling, you really can go crazy on this. Another thing that comes with the tool as well is timesheeting. So you can do actual timesheets every week, and you can submit them. You can create categories, service tickets, or sick time, and you can go through all manner of approvals to get those approved. So whether it's your line manager first and then the portfolio manager, or whether it's the project manager first because it's a project-related task, and then move on to the department manager or cost center owner. So that's a really useful tool as well, and we use that a lot, and it's really, really good. I talked about ideas earlier. So here, this demo has got a set of ideas that come through that you can score as well, which is much more SharePoint related, but you can bolt on Power Apps in front of that to make it look quite nice as well. All right. So what's the point of all this? So again, I come back to this tool allows you to capture all the data you could possibly imagine for project portfolio management. Right. The point of this for me is that when I was, in the corporate world, and I was a Friday morning would come at 10 o'clock, and my program manager would say to me, Joel, go and write your status report, your highlight report. It was the dreaded highlight report day. It was the comical, dreaded highlight report day. And I get it wrong. I remember in Company's House where, at a portfolio board, and I've got my portfolio of 55 projects and at the start of the journey in a spreadsheet. And one of the SROs, John Mark Frost, was saying, "Well, Joel, you got my project as red there. It's not. It's green. We rebaselined it this morning." Well, I wasn't in that morning. I was on a doctor's appointment. I wasn't to know. So it's that accuracy, that level of data, and the time it took me to go and produce those reports was. And I know people are sitting on this call now, nodding their heads, going, "Yes, reporting is the bane of my life." But hey, this is why we do this. Invest in this portfolio management tool. It's because we can see all the projects across the portfolio at the touch of a button. All right, so we can see all their RAG statuses, and where they are in the stage. This is some out of the box reporting, by the way. So this is just what Microsoft give you, and you can see the projects that are in the stages. You can see here the majority of projects are in the stages. All right. In my experience, I'd like to have something about the RAG on this. How many projects are red, how many projects are amber, how many projects are green, and so on and so forth. And here it's done by project type as well. So, I can see here the majority of my portfolio here is an application development project. You might have this as a business unit. So the majority of the projects are in, a central business unit, or in finance, or in operations, or whatever it may be. And, the level of, recognition when you go to a board or a stakeholder group with this on the screen, you're maximizing the screen, you're going through these reports. It's just great. You're not having to look at a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint document anymore. And this is the new modern, the new way of doing things. Gantt charts, we all hate doing Gantt charts. If you're a project professional, you're a program manager, project manager, portfolio manager, Gantt charts are just the worst. Where do you put them? In Excel and use the blocks, or use the timeline? What does it look like? So this to me is just a much better way of doing timeline management. You can see all the projects, when they end, some of the data, some of the information, and there is more in this space in our version of these reports as well. So this is just, I wanted to show you, rather than what Icotech do, I wanted to show you what you can get out of the box, just because it's there for you to go and consume. So yeah, this is really, really powerful. Portfolio costs. So you can see here that these projects are red for the cost KPI. This is over by 270 grand, I think, at the moment, the cost forecast. So you can clearly see, if you're a program, portfolio, project manager, where your attention needs to be invested in. This project is clearly needs some help in terms of regaining and getting it back on track. And again, all these filters can apply. So actually, if I want to just see all the application projects, because I'm the head of application delivery, for example, well, actually, I can see now that this is my worst project in employee reporting portal. So I need to go and fix that project. All right. We talked about, or I gave that example earlier about all the risks across the portfolio. Brilliant. Thank God this here. Every risk across the portfolio is scored. It's got this cost exposure. I can look at the different categories. So give me the resource risks, or give me the ones that respond or have a category of the technology, and it updates automatically. It's just brilliant. It's there. I'm no longer am I spending time building macro databases or Excel spreadsheets. It's just not needed anymore. It's all in one version of the truth, which is this report. Issues, again, similar concept. And again, I just want to stress, this is out of the box stuff. This isn't anything that Icotech have done in terms of, all we've done is enabled it, stitched it together, and plugged it into a demo environment. So this is available to you if you're an Office 365 user for free. Obviously, the license for Project Online isn't, but these reports are. Resource availability. So if you're into resource availability and you're at that point where you've got a portfolio of projects, you can go and consume this heat map, and it'll tell you your capacity, your demand, demand by area maybe, if I'm the operations director, all I want to see is operations. Okay, I've got one resource. Bad example. Oh God, I wish it would kind of give me a different. I'll go back. Let's use the other one because it's a better example by those things. Oh no. So yeah, it's effectively a list of resources. I would have hoped it had more resources assigned to retailer operations, but yeah, you can see I'm over capacity here. This resource is plus 50% overutilized across these months. All right. You can go into much more detail. So highlight reports I touched on earlier. They are the bane of our lives if we're project professionals. So this is just a simple out of the box highlight report for a project. I'm 48 days late. That's why I'm amber. My work is over, so I spent more time on it. That's why I'm red. I've got, these are my completed milestones. These are my future milestones. This is my percentage complete. Really, really useful, positive information that's coming out of this. And if you're in a status meeting, a project status meeting, or a project board, you can see this information very quickly, and you can see how valuable it is to lots of organizations running multiple projects at the same time. So with that said, I'm going to jump quickly on, not too much more now, but I'm going to jump quickly back to, look at that, I worked really well, I'm impressing myself. So, okay, so project online's at the end of the top of the spectrum, really, in terms of the scale, the power, and the complexity of what you can do with it. But just to summarize here, so you can easily manage your schedules, easily manage your resources, do time sheeting. You can collaborate, as I showed you earlier, with those sharing the sites. You can automate your RAID logs. I mean, we can get rid of Excel in the management of projects. I mean, Microsoft won't thank me for that, but Excel for managing RAID logs isn't great. It has a place, but not for managing risks across a portfolio of 20 plus projects. Portfolio reporting, easily, single source of truth, hit refresh, you've got the data there ready to hand. Demand management, so your ideas versus your committed activity. Dependency management, I didn't even show you that, but yeah, you can link projects and tasks and activities together and see that dependency map. Portfolio prioritization, I showed you a little bit of that, and then capacity planning as well. So such a powerful tool that not many people, as I say, know it even exists in them in Project Online, and within a couple of clicks you can go and have access to this tool. All right. So just a way of scene setting and coming to the end now. So this is all based on the common data platform, the common data service from Microsoft. So this is such a powerful tool for AI, predictive analytics, and plugging this into any other product you've got. I talked earlier about there's not one size fits all. We have integrated this with VSTS. We have integrated it with Oracle, with Jira as well. So the agile Scrum teams can go and manage epics and stories and points and do all that crazy stuff in Jira. But if you're a project or delivery manager in Project Online, you can manage your business case, manage your scope, manage your cost, manage your benefits, and bring that data from Jira up into Project Online as well. SAP and ServiceNow. So there is a definite kind of crossover between ticketing and kind of service desk for pipeline management and idea creation, and then flowing that into using Power Automate into Project Online for executable business change activities, and then obviously Microsoft Dynamics 365 as well. So these two platforms are on exactly the same architecture, so we're able to integrate them seamlessly. All right. So that's just a whistle-stop tour of projects, and the tools are available to you in Office 365. I'd like to open the floor to any initial questions, please.